8 seasons in the National Football League, a columnist for SB Nation upon his retirement in the NFL. His brother, again, we had on the show back in Kansas City. He's the Chiefs offensive tackle, his brother Mitchell. Good to see you, Geoff Schwartz. How are you, brother?
I'm good. Glad to be here.
Yeah. Thank you for coming here. I know we've been tweeting with each other. Now we get to see each other face to face.
Well, we met another time.
I told this story with your brother.
Didn't know who I was.
Do it. No, we could do it. We could get into that. We can get into that. I told that to your brother. Did I tell this story on the air with his brother? Did I tell this story?
Not sure. Don't think so.
All right. As you know, doing NFL Game Day mornings long. It's a 4-hour show. And I'm on almost every damn segment.
Yeah.
Okay. So then I go right into watching games. So it was halftime of the games. And let's just say I try to have the same intestinal fortitude as Scott Hansen does on the set of Red Zone.
I don't know how he does it.
Okay. Basically, I mean, he's a camel. He just holds it all in.
Yes.
So I go halftime and I run to the bathroom and the men's room door is locked.
Okay.
Okay. And so I go into the women's room because there was nobody in there. And I did the right thing. I live with a woman. All right. I made sure no one was in there. Seat up, seat back down when I left. I did everything right.
All right.
And I walk out, and who's staring at me in the hallway?
Me. I was waiting to use the bathroom, the right bathroom.
Now, I had not met you. And I had not met you yet.
No, you had not.
I had not met you yet. So I just said hi, and I had to go back to the second half of the games. Then I saw you on the air later on the NFL Network, and I'm like, oh, my God.
Yeah. I was sitting in that room the entire time, too, in the TV watching room.
How the hell did
I was sitting at the very top.
I
kind of got snuck in there. You guys were all in the front, all the cool kids, and you should be the cool kids. I was in the back. I'll tell you what, though.
It's a better spot in the back,
thought that room was going to be like fun to watch football, and it is, but it's very intense. There's a lot going on those screens.
Well, there's people also working, you know?
Yes.
I mean, like, there's some people who are, like, looking at games to make sure that they're up on everything, which is that's why I watch all the early games in the NFL Network, because you can watch them all at once in this mission control type room.
Yes.
But there's some people like taking notes. Some people are working.
I have 3 TVs in my house, so I can watch 3 games at once plus the iPad.
Right. And plus, unlike your house and what you do, we're NFL employees. We don't have like some 9-team parlay working.
Yes.
You know, I mean,
sometimes the case, yes.
Just throwing that out. I mean, I see your Twitter feed, Geoff. Let's get into this news of the day. How does, Geoff Schwartz here on the Rich Eisen Show, how does the Julio Jones exception that was clearly made on his behalf, how rare is that we just saw?
It's very rare. I can remember a couple instances where guys got deals basically before that kind of 2-year left on contract window where teams are more willing to do deals.
It's kind of not even a deal, though. It's just a little piece of what he was going to get next year when they were going to renegotiate that anyway. And they just flipped it to him this year to keep him happy. If that's what if he goes, you know what, that would make me happy. What's the problem?
It sets precedent. Teams don't like to do that. We saw with the Steelers, they don't want to pay Le'Veon Bell like a hybrid player. They don't want to set that precedent of having to do that. Teams very rarely do this, but Julio is that great of a player that they need him in camp. They need him to be part of the team. They want him to be happy. So they just really at no expense to them for the cap or anything. They just threw him some money. I think it's fabulous. I wish more teams would do this. But guys don't have the leverage that Julio has. So
the question is, how does it play in a locker room when knowing that exception will not be made for them, pretty much?
I mean, I think you pretty much know where your place is in the locker room. You know if you're at the higher, the pecking order, the lower. There are not many guys who probably feel comfortable even asking for more money. You have to have a certain level of clout. We know that. I think guys will be happy he got paid. There'll be a couple guys probably in that locker room who say, hey, why didn't the Falcons hook me up? I know around the NFL, my brother, for example, needs to make more money, plain and simple. He's 1 or 2 right tackle. He's been second team All-Pro last 2 years. He does not make enough money for his position. So you look at a guy like that, and he can maybe say, hey, Chiefs, look what the Falcons did to Julio. Why don't you hook me up? He's got Von Miller twice a year, Khalil Mack twice a year, Joey Bosa twice a year. Hook me up with some of this money. So I think maybe guys around the NFL now will point to the Falcons example and say, look, the Falcons did this. Why don't you hook up your players who are underpaid?
Well, I mean, and then obviously there are some, and I was talking about this with Adam Schefter yesterday on the show, Geoff Schwartz, 8-year NFL veteran here today, that part of the fact that there's more holdouts is that players are seeing how much money's going down in the NBA being given in guaranteed contracts. That on the same day that Todd Gurley had an unprecedented deal handed to him by the Rams for running back, 4 years, 60. It was 4 years. How much for Kevin Love?
120.
Brockman. It was
120.
Yeah.
120.
So. Right, and but that's guaranteed money.
Yes.
What about that fact that our NFL players and Kirk Cousins playing on a rare guaranteed deal coming up this year? So what about that idea?
I like that players can joke about it, but if you get serious with it, I don't understand that. You have to understand, I'm very pro player. You got to understand the politics and also how many players we have versus how many players the NBA has, how much leverage. The NBA is a players league. Players will get more money. There's also less players, right? So you get more money cap. NFL is obviously not so much a players league. I love the idea of guaranteed contracts, but I think it's unrealistic for NFL players to expect to negotiate that into our next CBA. You can't guarantee 53 guys. What's going to happen if that happens, salaries will lower themselves big time.
What do you mean?
So I signed a 4-year deal with the Giants for $16 million, right? And I had about the first 2 years guaranteed. And the Giants probably would not offer me that same deal if it was fully guaranteed. They'd offer me less years and less money, maybe around the same average per year. But players sign these long-term deals for a couple reasons. One, because they think they're going to play out. They think they're going to play the 5-year deal and get all the money and not worry about the guarantee. Two, the teams want to spread the signing bonus over the 5 or 6 years. So I think it's unrealistic to assume we're all going to get guaranteed contracts. I think what Cousins did is fabulous. It makes a lot of business sense, gets the money for 3 years, can go get another 3-year deal. I think we should fight for a couple things in the CBA, but one of them is a penalty for cutting a guy early. So I got cut after 2 years. Hey, the Giants owe me 25% of my deal, whatever it is. That's more realistic in my opinion because I don't know what we'd give up to get guaranteed contracts for everyone.
So your idea would be you've got a 4-year deal.
Yeah.
If you are cut before the end of your 4-year deal, even if the back 2 years were not guaranteed dollars,
something
X percent of it.
Yes.
Percentage of it
that
is
seems
guaranteed.
to make more sense than just saying I get a 4-year guaranteed contract because that's not realistic for all 53 guys on the roster. Too many injuries, too much money spread around. I just don't think the contract values would be the same if they were all guaranteed. Quarterback's different. You got to take them out. You're going to pay your quarterback guaranteed money, but you're going to pay and I was a 9th offensive lineman. I mean, are you going to pay me a guaranteed contract for a guy who might not play all year, might get cut, might go to practice squad? Doesn't seem to make sense to fight for that, to give up whatever we'd give up in the negotiations.
It's interesting you say the NFL is not a players' league. I think fantasy football is changing that because, again, the number of millennials that come up to me that I have conversations with based on, whether I'm seeing them at a bar mitzvah or I'm seeing them out and about, they don't come up to me and say, how's Team X going to do this year?
Right.
How's Team Y going to do this year? How's my team going to do this year? They say, "Who am I drafting in fantasy?" I'm serious, by the way. And then if I see them in October or November, they're talking to me about their fantasy team. They're not talking to me about their favorite team in the NFC West that they grew up with. I'm serious.
I'm talking about more at the top. Like the structure of the NBA is more of a players kind of run things, and in the NFL, the players think they might run. They don't, and that's what I'm talking about. Fantasy football has been great for our sport. It's grown the sport. I agree with you. The fan base thinks it's a players' league. I'm talking about from the very top, the NFL is not a players' league. I hope it becomes that way. I think we're moving in that direction to allow players more freedom socially and just allowing players to have more thoughts outside of football.
All right, I'm going to take a 60-second break, come back, and I want to ask you what the number one trend you think is going to be offensively in the NFL this year, and then just to open it wide up to your career and a little bit more about you, sir. Good to see you, Geoff Schwartz. Geoff Schwartz is here on the Rich Eisen Show. We're back in 60 seconds. Anthony Davis of the New Orleans Pelicans still to come. All right, welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. Geoff Schwartz, former Panther, Viking, Chief, Giants, and then a little bit of cup of coffee with the Lions before you wrap things up in your NFL career. So the Eagles' RPO seems to me could be the copycat moment. Anybody who wins the Super Bowl, right? Like the Seahawks won the Super Bowl. Everybody wanted to get long corners.
Yes.
Just as a for instance. Now we're seeing an RPO team winning the Super Bowl with a backup quarterback RPOing, and he wasn't even a threat to do the R in the run pass option. So do you think we're going to see more of that this year?
Probably, but I will caution you. New England stopped the RPO in the Super Bowl. The Eagles, I broke down the first half really when the Eagles tried to do it. The Eagles, I think, ran 36 plays, ran 6 RPOs, and the Patriots just dropped the guy back, and the Eagles couldn't throw the ball. What the Eagles did, though, is they can run the football. They have a great offensive line. So if you try to RPO and someone takes away the pass, you have to still run the ball. So yeah, offensive line has to be good. Your running backs have to be good. You have to have a good situation. Teams will try it, but unless you have an offensive-minded head coach, someone who really knows and has studied how RPOs work, and that's why teams went down to Oklahoma to visit Lincoln Riley, to visit some of these colleges, it's not going to be successful for everyone who tries to run it.
So there's a couple things. If Nick Foles can have a really good running back behind a good offensive line in front of him and run a play where there's a running back next to him and you don't know if the running back's taking it or not, and it's just like a fake handoff where he's giving it, other teams can't do that? I mean, with a quarterback who is as good as Nick Foles, and everybody's got good running backs, and obviously offensive line play shouldn't be taken for granted. But
the reason why I don't think everyone can do it is there were times where the Eagles would read like the linebacker, right? And the linebacker has to stay put.
Which linebacker are you talking
like the will linebacker, let's say.
Okay.
They just get the Chargers a bunch of week 4. They have to read the will. Well, the will has to kind of stay put because if they do hand the ball off, he's got to tackle the guy because he knows they can run the football.
Right.
If you're not worried about that, you'll just drop back into coverage. And so everything has to play a role. I think what we're going to see teams do kind of what the Rams have done, which is run up to the line of scrimmage, get everyone set, and then Sean McVay uses the quarterback system and calls another play, which doesn't happen very often. Most times you call a play and you let the quarterback decide what to do next.
He gives Geoff 2 plays.
Yes. I think we're going to see that tempo more often than we're going to see the RPOs. Tom Brady's not running an RPO. Like, I think you have to have a very specific offensive coordinator who knows what he's doing and also have the players to execute that.
So when you say that the Patriots stopped the run-pass option in the Super Bowl.
They stopped the pass option of that.
Well, they couldn't stop the pass, period, but it all came down to it. Yes. So where do you stand on the subject of the day that came out of the Q&A with Belichick and our third-hour guest yesterday, Dan Shaughnessy? Do you think Malcolm Butler playing in that game would have been a difference between winning and losing a Super Bowl, do you think?
I don't know if it would have been the difference between winning or losing a Super Bowl. It would have helped, obviously. I mean, if the right guard blocks Brandon Graham, the Patriots probably go down and score the last drive and win the game anyways. There's many little instances where the Patriots could have won the game. It would have helped. I mean, he just signed a massive deal. Obviously, someone thought he was good enough to sign this big deal. So, of course, it would have helped if he played.
Are you sitting in the Patriots locker room wondering about that?
Yes.
To this day?
Yes. I think there will be especially guys that have not won many Super Bowls there, they will always think about that.
So the Malcolm Butler interception that proved to linger in the Seahawks locker room.
Yes.
This Malcolm Butler, I guess, benching has the possibility in your mind to play that role in New England?
I'm not sure it's that intense because it didn't physically, like that one play didn't lose them the game. Mm-hmm. That's one of my favorite subjects, by the way.
I know that. I want to get out
Seattle made the right call passing the football.
Okay. Finish your thought, and then let's get to that.
I don't think it will linger like that because the Patriots have also won a lot of Super Bowls. They've done a lot of winning. They could go back this year and win, and everyone forgets that happened. But I think there will always be a question, also because we've never really heard why it happened. Malcolm Butler doesn't know. I think Bill Belichick's the only one who knows, and he's not going to share the information.
So now, you think the Patriots that the Seahawks made the right call to throw on the goal line instead of handing it off to Marshawn Lynch?
I wrote about this.
I know you did on SB Nation.
Yes,
Geoff Schwartz.
if you look at the box, so what happened is the Patriots used a personnel group on defense they haven't used very often. They don't use very often. They had a goal line front. Okay, so it's 6 defensive linemen, and they put in 3 corners. So they took out a linebacker they normally have in goal line package and put an extra corner in the game, which teams don't typically do. So if you're Seattle, you're in 11 personnel, 1 tight end, 1 running back, 3 wide receivers. You come to the line of scrimmage, there are too many guys to block. It's not going to work, and the leverage was terrible. Vince Wilfork was way on the wide on the guard. He would have shoved everything back to the unblocked guy. It was not going to work. Not going to work. The pass was the right call. You can argue whether the actual concept was right, but in 2013, the pick play was huge. That's what a lot of teams ran. Give credit to the Patriots. They knew it was coming, and they made the right play. It was not the wrong call to pass. You can argue if the pass was the actual concept was the right decision, which now obviously it looks bad, but the action of passing was the right call.
How do the Patriots do it? Because we were talking back earlier, and I'd like for you to get into it. When you played the Patriots,
Oh yeah,
they were unique. How?
So what the Patriots do better than anyone in the NFL, I can't believe people are not more like the Patriots.
This is not the copycat of the copycat league.
They just can turn their team into whatever they need week to week. So we see it on offense all the time. 1 week Brady throws 55 times and they run 7. Next week they run for 40 times and Brady throws for 25.
Jonas Gray goes into the Pro Football Hall of Fame based on one night.
They're the only team that does that. Now defensively, I remember 2015 we played them. It was really the first time I think I'd played them where I was starting. We played them in Carolina, so I don't remember quite that. But we came out and we didn't know what defense they were going to run. There were 3 options they could run. They could have a 3-man front, a 5-man front, or like a typical 4-3.
And this is what you talked about all week in your meetings.
Like we were like, we have to know how to block all of these fronts because we don't know what they're going to come out in base in.
And is that the only team that you would have to prepare like that for?
Yes. Now, most teams, their base, their sub fronts. Now, they might have some walk around stuff and some weird stuff week to week, but we legit did not know which base defense they were going to be in, and they were in the 3rd of the 3 options when we wound up on Sunday to play.
So the one that you expected
the least they were in. Yeah. It's crazy. And that's why they just have a lot of interchangeable parts on defense. They have guys that can rush the passer, drop into coverage. They have guys that can rush the passer, and also, Wilfork could rush the passer at his size. I mean, he could do multiple things. That's why they have these interchangeable parts on defense.
And that's why they draft the way that they draft, I guess. And then they turn your 3rd stringer into their Pro Bowler. I mean,
they haven't done it as recently, but that's.
Well, hold on a minute. I submit to you the name of Rex Burkhead, sir. I mean, it's not like he was a Pro Bowler, but all of a sudden, I mean,
in that, and they can just rotate it like 1 week, and that's why it's so hard.
We'll see what let's put it this way: we'll see what Dion Lewis looks like down in Tennessee.
Much better offensive line there, though. I mean, it'd be interesting to see. With new OC, we'll see what they do on offense.
Then let me ask you this question: how will the Nate Solder loss affect the Patriots this year, do you think?
They drafted Isaiah Wynn in the 24th pick from Georgia to play left tackle. He's a monster. He's really good. They made the right pick here. I think they'll put him at left tackle. They won't miss him very much. I think I looked at this last year. Tom Brady has primarily played with 2 left tackles in his entire career. Like 95% of games started.
Light and Soldier.
Soldier, that's it, yeah. Light and Soldier. It's crazy.
And the best offensive line in the league is in
Philly.
I thought you'd say Kansas City.
Oh, well, yes, the Chiefs, yes.
I mean, good
the
Lord.
Right tackle, the best guy out
But
there.
you did not stutter when you just spat out Philly.
Philly's good. Oh, boy. Yeah, they're good.
Are they going to repeat this year, do you think?
I like the Falcons in the NFC. I think we see Falcons Patriots again.
You'd take that one, wouldn't you, Chris? You'd take that one.
Yeah, as long as the Pats figure out how to cover the running back out of the backfield.
But you know what? So you say the Falcons are going to play for it all in their own building?
Yeah,
that would be huge.
That makes sense. It's so nice to have a Super Bowl I could drive to. It's so nice.
Oh, well, that's why you're saying that.
I'm pumped.
How's your brother going to feel that you chose the Eagles over his offensive line?
He's in camp. He has practice this morning. I think he'll survive.
I don't know. We'll let him know. Maybe Stone Street's out watching. He'll be just texting your brother right now about brisket and that too.
They love their smoked meats.
Last one, very important. This is very important. This question's for me, Chris. Okay.
Okay.
This question's for me. How many Jews are there in the National Football League?
Oh wow! There's definitely more Jewish owners. I had a trainer of mine who would say almost every day, "You should be owning the team, not playing for it." I will not repeat which trainer that was.
Okay.
So it's Ali Marpet who's on the Bucks.
Yes.
My brother, obviously, that's 2.
That's 2.
Adam Bisnawadi was on the Giants. I think they released him. So that's obviously 3.
Yes.
I don't think there's many. It depends also are we clarifying that it's the mother who's Jewish? Like there's a lot of traditional.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, though, I'll take any.
I don't think there's many anymore. There's not many. We used to have backup quarterbacks and kickers. Mm-hmm. I think those are kind of gone.
Is Edelman
Jewish?
Jewish?
Yes, Edelman.
Well, Edelman always says he's Jew-ish.
I think Edelman actually qualifies.
He does?
I think he does, yeah. So that's 4.
Okay, so we're halfway to being able to hold a Sabbath.
We're actually need 10 for that.
Need 10. That's a minion, by the way.
Yeah,
that's
minion.
Called a
there
minion.
you go. I think we used to almost make a minion when I was in the league. We had like 8. Because Taylor Mays was playing still. I was obviously in. Sage Rosenfeld was still playing.
Well, one of the items that we have here on our set that's never shown on television is I got a book over there, Great Jews in Sports. Would you autograph that book for me?
It's a little tiny. It's a little pamphlet. Yeah.
But no, it's not a pamphlet. It is a thick ass book. Okay, it is significant because it's about the history of the entirety of sports in America. Okay, so we go back. Yeah, it's we buried it. Why do we have the Great Jews and Sports book completely buried on our set?
I mean, it's got its own spot. Everything here has its place.
There it is. There it is.
Wow. It's way in the back.
Howard
in the
Cosell,
corner.
it looks like, is on the front cover.
I'm an inductee in the Southern California Jewish Sports Hall of Fame now.
Hey.
Yeah.
Who else is in there? Koufax, right?
Lots of people are.
I mean, Koufax.
There's
right?
also media members are in there.
Okay.
So
you cast a wide net.
I went in, like, the year I went in was me and my brother, Ramona Shelburne, Mark Stein,
Hey.
a couple, like, college softball player,
Okay.
hockey player. Yeah.
All right.
Someone who played for the Israeli World Baseball Classic team.
My favorite moment of my interview with your brother.
Wait, the best part about this is it's revised and updated with an introduction by Red Auerbach.
Hey, he's one of the greatest Jews in sports right there.
This book cannot be this thick. It has a lot of pictures
It's
in it.
real, man.
Max Freeman, pioneer of basketball.
Turn it all the way to the back. Well, how many pages is there? What the book ends on what page?
The Maccabee games are back here. Okay.
Yeah. The book ends. What's the last number? Right
331.
331 pages. There's no lie.
Wow, this is actually like
My favorite.
Al Davis.
My favorite,
okay, there
my
you
favorite part of the
Al
interview
Davis.
with your brother and Stone Street is I said to him, great to have a member of the tribe on the show. And Stone Street goes, geez.
I saw that. He
and
said
I'm like, no.
That's
not that tribe.
Do the tomahawk chop.
Hey, it's good to see you, Geoff Schwartz.
Glad to be here.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
it's
coming
fun.
on the show.
Yeah.
And you're welcome here anytime. We'll get you on the phone whenever you're
Fantastic.
here in Los Angeles.
Sounds good.
Geoff Schwartz. Follow him on Twitter. It's Geoff Schwartz.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.